Hey, Carl Schilling here with you again. Another Monday, and I'm so glad to be here with you. Always very thankful and grateful, for good health, good wealth, good relationships, and just really happy to be alive. Every day is a new wonder. So again, as usual on Live at 5, we like to come to you with I think some good information, good content, separating it out, between what we do. A lot of what we do, we have paid content, and a lot of what we do is build agency force and financial concierges, all walks of life. But again, our message is pretty simple. Our mission in life is to eliminate all forms of financial victimization. We do that by creating, wrong place. Boo hoo. Hi, Carl Schilling here with you. And again, I was actually. Hi, Carl Schilling with you. I'm so sorry. You forgive me. I was a minute and a half live on YouTube Live, and recognized that I'm supposed to be on Facebook. It's kind of crazy. Go between YouTube and Facebook, and then I recognized, wow, I'm in the wrong place. Anyway, again, I'm so thankful to be with you again here. Another Monday, beautiful, beautiful day here in Florida. I'm always grateful and pleased to be with everybody. I'm pleased to be alive. It's a wonderful thing every day, and just keep plugging. So again, our mission's pretty simple in life. We do these live at 5s to give out some really good content. And again, we're about building financial concierges and help other people become financially independent. Our main mission is to help eliminate all forms of financial victimization. We do this by providing awareness, creating a financial literacy education, which I'm going to talk to you about tonight. And then lastly, helping people become financially independent. So, and all of this is done, by the way, through our financial concierge field force. So we get people from all walks of life to become financial concierges. Some of them are life insurance agents, some of them are realtors, some of them are tax preparers, occasional mortgage broker here or there. But again, we try to show people from a financial concierge perspective, it's about one thing only. It's about helping people become financially independent. The message is, I think, pretty clear. We live in the richest nation in the world, and yet at the same time, we have the highest rate of financial illiteracy in the world. So that's going to tell you something. And those numbers don't lie. 95% of our entire society, and it's well over 100 years, at best, they're either dead broke, or financially dependent at 65 and older. So in the fourth quarter of life, dead broke, or financially dependent at best. And financial dependence means this: they're dependent. excuse me. They're dependent upon family, friends, social circles, social networks, organizations, church, right? And worse, the government. Now, I don't know about you, but turning 65 and older, the last place you want to be dependent is upon the government, okay? And far too many people in our society have bought into what they're told and the messaging, and get a job, get a 401k, do this, do that, do this, and when you retire, you'll have all this income, and you'll have a lower tax rate, and all this other sad messaging, which, quite frankly, and again, I hate to be negative on it, but it's nonsense. Okay, it's just not reality. So only 5% become financially independent. It's been that way a long time. So what's missing? What is missing? So it dawned on me a long time ago that there was a combination here, and that's why I made Financial Transformation. And by the way, you'll see a link. There's a little quick 30-second video that intros financial transformation. It's up there in the link. Okay, that's an interactive video, as this will be after I get done. So here's the deal. I came to the conclusion a long time ago that, and this happened while I was coaching. Okay, I was coaching baseball at that point in time. I sold life insurance so I could coach baseball. I think I've told that story several times for people, but just to get to know me, I couldn't have a 9-to-5 job. I needed freedom. I needed time because I was coaching. Okay. I was coaching 60 hours a week. I was making very little money coaching, but it was a passion. It was something I loved. I was in baseball many, many years and wanted to stay in it. And so I sold life insurance. Okay. And I was pretty good at what I did selling life insurance because I had to be. I didn't have much of a choice, you know what I mean? Because the only way I could coach was to make sure I was going to be successful selling life insurance so I could feed the family. So I had that intrinsic motivation, so to speak. But through that period of time, I became a student, a really adamant student of Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale and Anthony Robbins and Brian Tracy stuff and all of this. I did some work with Brian Tracy and Tom Hopkins as well. Okay. So I used to do some promotions work and all that good stuff when I was younger, cutting my teeth. So I came to the conclusion that self-development was a difference maker. So if we really want to be successful in selling, whatever we're selling, a couple of things have to happen. I mean, first, we got to believe in what we're selling. That nonsense about, he could sell ice to Eskimos, he could sell anything. That's a fallacy, okay? You can't go beyond your beliefs. You can't go against the grain of your beliefs and your values because you're just going to struggle. We talk about the averages in the insurance industry. The ceiling for the lower 10% is $27,000 a year. And I promise you, most of those people, either they don't like what they're doing, they don't believe in what they're doing, or they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, okay? And that's sad. Or they need help, which is fine. That's what we're here for. Then the median is like $48,000 a year. And again, those are people we're in an industry where we're helping people become financially independent. How is it we can only make 50 grand a year? I mean, we're just not helping enough people at that point. Okay, it's kind of silly. And then the floor for the top 10%, the lowest income is $128,000 a year. So obviously, the top 10% is doing a huge amount of the production, right? And I believe it's as bad as 90% of all the production is done by 10% of the people. Okay, so I think the other 90% are sharing the bottom 10%. But it doesn't have to be that way, okay? So in everything we're doing now, it came to my mind years ago that becoming a student of Napoleon Hill and success and these other things, it was just really interesting, and I worked with athletes. We worked on mental visualization. We worked on stuff that they're doing in Major League Baseball right now. We worked on that stuff in the late 80s. Early 90s. We were really ahead of the curve. Okay. I had my own hitting shops and we were way ahead of the curve. That's neither here nor there, but we were ahead of the curve only because I took on a lot of these principles that I thought were very important. Okay. Mental visualization, how you seed your mind, how you preface, we talked about the 3 stages of you, the past, the present, and the future. And believe me, your mindset, if you're a sales professional, you live in 90-day cycles as a sales professional. I'm not talking about getting paid. I'm talking about building a sales pipeline. You live in 90-day cycles, okay? So if you want to develop a sales career that's going to have a reasonable, there's no such thing in a sales career as this, straight up, okay? It's very rare in sales careers to have, this without a little beat, it's this kind of thing. So I think as you gradually go up, it's little bumps in the road, okay? You have to make adjustments. It's just like baseball. But behind all of that is you need to build a solid pipeline and you need to keep it filled. It's like momentum. It's like, it's the same thing with the, back in the day with the trains and the steam engines. You got to keep shoveling coal, and then the speed gets up, and then you keep enough coal in there to keep the train, rolling, right? It's the same thing in sales. But the problem is that as sales professionals, where we lack is we don't pay attention to these 90-day plans. We tend to get, we get real excited in January because everybody tells us new year, wonderful, going to be the greatest year of my life. blah, 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 set all these goals by, I don't know, if you're lucky, by January 30th, you haven't lost sight of your goal and it hasn't all fallen apart by January 30th. And now that's sad, but so true, right? But when you really come to the realization is March. It's about the end of March, because the end of March, you find out that my first 90 days was not filled. I did not fill my pipeline for the first 90 days. So I wasted that entire thing. So in December, I should have been filling my 90-day pipeline or keeping it filled. Once I got that pipeline going, I don't have to, continually, fill it from scratch. Okay. I just got to top it off, right? So again, this is very important in a selling career, but this has to do with self-development as well. So when I made Financial Transformation and filmed that over a year ago, and finally got it to production, so it's out there now, I wanted to develop that course with everything I'd learned over the years from a different perspective. I want to develop that course not just from a financial literacy education. I am not a financial genius, and I'm not claiming to be, okay? But in 40 plus years, I've learned what not to do with money, and that's been a painful education, and there's no better education in life than experience, okay? So here's the problem. You can either experience everything yourself and eat up all that time and eat up money, losses, or you can learn from other people's experience. So you always hear about other people's money. Trust me, other people's experience is far more valuable because they can teach you where they failed, how they failed, why not, what not to do. And that's more important than what to do, okay? Because it's an education. It's a free education, okay? So that's what we're in the business of, free education in that sense. Now, it's not free because I charge people, but come on, I got to make a living. So when I did financial literacy, I did it with this perspective. One, I wanted people to learn about money. I wanted people to learn the difference between money and currency. Most people don't know that. I wanted people to learn the difference between credit and debt. Most people don't know that. I wanted people to learn the difference between good debt and bad debt. Most people don't know anything about that, okay? People usually get their information from radio talking heads who are making millions of dollars selling advertising to the very same people who are embedding fees and making tons of money off of people who don't even realize that they're being, sucked dry on that. So that's one thing. People get their information from Money Magazine, Forbes, and other places. And if you take stock tips from Money Magazine, you're buying into the sell-off is what you're doing. So, at that point, you're buying high and you'll be selling low. And that's what 90% of the people do. So again, I made these things very prevalent in financial transformation. But I blended in financial transformation things that I think are very, very important. We talked about values. We talked about beliefs. We talked about why you think the way you do about money, what you believe, where your biases are. We talked about self-development. We talked about how to increase your income, why you need 3 types of income. We talked about the golden rules for financial independence. We discussed all those things in that course. And I felt it was a blending of both worlds. It was a blending of good, solid financial literacy education, unlike anything that's out there. Not just the dot the I's, cross the T's kind of stuff, ABCs of financial literacy. What good is that? It's not doing anybody any good if only 5% become financially independent. 95% of the society is continuing to fail by the time they're 65 or older. What good is whatever we're teaching? Seems to me it doesn't work. So we'd like to have 15% of the population financially independent, 20%. Why can't it be the average normal 80-20? In the richest nation in the world, why is it that we can't have 80-20? Would 20% be financially independent and 80%? Forget all the other talk about income, inequality and all that. No, those are all excuses, okay? It's about independence. We live in we're not just free people. We're independent people. And that's why I made financial transformation, to break through the thought process that somehow I'm a victim. Somehow I can't get ahead because the world is in my way, or somehow I can't get ahead because of my background or my race or my education or my family or my social setting or where I grew up, or my environment. It's all, sorry, folks, it's all nonsense. And that's why I made financial transformation. I made financial transformation not to yell at people, not to degrade people, demean people. I made it to make people open up their minds, hopefully. Wake up call, a wake up call. You know, last week I told you I found this book, Outwitting the Devil, a big Napoleon Hill student. I talked about it last week. I read the book now 2.5 times, okay? And I highlighted, the book is, incredibly yellowed out in certain areas. But this was an incredible piece of work. I mean, it's sad that this piece of work didn't come out before Think and Grow Rich, because there are things in this that make you reflect and actually change a little of what he originally taught you. He changed a little on that mindset, okay? So, again, it's all about independence. Now, he also talked about applied faith. At some point, Napoleon Hill gained faith. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and talk to you in terms of faith and religion, or I'm not going to talk to you about that. Okay. That's up to you individually. But here's the deal with faith. And faith is something very important. Faith is a matter of belief. It's a matter of a value statement that you have because you believe in something strongly. Okay. Whatever that is, whatever it is. Nobody's here to tell you what to believe in. We shouldn't tell anybody what to believe in. But here's the deal. When you have faith, you believe because you believe. You do the right thing because you believe it's the right thing, and you do the right thing and because it's right, and you believe. That faith empowers you to get beyond fear. You don't have doubt because you believe. We talk about that in financial transformation. We talk about doubt and what a big thing it is. We talk about how doubt creates worry, and then worry creates fear, and fear paralyzes you. Okay? So you go from doubt to worry to fear. And as Napoleon Hill talks about in here, he talks about that being your other self, that fearful person, that person who's a victim, because you're fearful. Because you're fearful of the unknown. You're fearful you can't get it done. You lack confidence. Whatever goes on, it's a form of fear. And because you're not embedded in faith, whatever that belief is, because you're not embedded in faith, you are subject to fearfulness. When you're subject to fearfulness, you become a victim. It's everybody else's fault. You got to have somebody to blame. You don't take on personal accountability. It's not important to you. You're not really that responsible because, again, it's uncomfortable for you to take on all of that. It's uncomfortable. So when you have applied faith, you break through all of this. You break through the whole barrier and your life changes. And I'm telling you, your life changes for incredible amounts of improvement. But it doesn't change without you changing. You know, I spoke to a young person the other day, very angry, incredibly angry, younger population. I mean, I've got a 38-year-old son and a 34-year-old daughter, but thank heavens they're fairly, rationally independent people. They still have their own little warts growing, but here's the deal. I was speaking to this younger person, just about 30, almost getting ready to turn 30, very angry at the world, angry at all kinds of stuff. And I shared with them, I said, okay, so you want to change the world? And they said, oh, yeah. So I said, well, what are you doing to change yourself? And the young person just looked at me. So what do you mean? I said, before you can change the world, you need to change yourself. Because this anger and vitriol and all of this that you're carrying, that ain't going to change the world. That ain't going to make the world any better. You're not going to help anybody with that. So you need to change yourself first. And again, this Outwitting the Devil helped me start to come to grips with this again in speaking with a lot of agents, insurance agents, and a lot of realtors and people. And those industries have a lot of failure, and they have a lot of washout, and they have a lot of people coming and going. And it's sad because all those careers, they're great careers. They're great careers to help people. They're great careers to make a difference in people's lives. And that's what we should be doing. So once we selectively pick what we want to do to make a difference in people's lives, guess what's going to happen? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. It has to be difficult by nature. Because if it was easy, you know the saying, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. So again, it requires change. So the reason I made financial transformation was I wanted to help people not change. Nobody can do that but them. I wanted to make them aware that change was necessary. Because it's really kind of reflected back to me now that here's the deal. Change is hard. It's hard to change. A lot of people scared to change because of the fearful thing I discussed. But that's not the big issue. That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is recognizing that change is necessary. That's the hardest part. It's almost like the addiction cycle where you have to admit, I have a problem. The hardest part is not getting rid of the problem. The hardest part is admitting I have a problem. And so it is with change. So I'm here tonight to tell you the reason I made financial transformation was to help people recognize the awareness of where change may need to be made. Now, we can also help people through what we do make the changes. But again, that's up to them individually. You know, Confucius said that a man persuaded against his will is of the same opinion still. So persuasion is not the answer, folks. If you're with me tonight and you're an insurance agent, you're a realtor, you're a mortgage broker, whatever you're selling to people, persuasion is not the issue. That is an old school thing that's been being taught for hundreds of years, that you persuade people into doing something that they supposedly need to do. Do you persuade an alcoholic to stop drinking? Do you persuade a drug addict to stop using drugs? Do you persuade a gambler to stop gambling? No. It's the same reason you don't persuade someone to buy life insurance. You don't persuade someone to get a mortgage. You don't persuade someone to buy this house or that house. You influence people. And by influencing people, it means that you bring people along a pathway where they become aware, they recognize their own awareness, and you help them because they can't do it themselves. They can't buy the house on their own. They can't get the mortgage on their own. They can't get the life insurance done on their own. They need somebody to do the paperwork. They need somebody to provide the solution. But if you give them the awareness, they will do the rest and allow you to do what you need to do. So that's what we really are all about here. That's what I'm trying to help salespeople with, okay? I'm not here selling smoke. I'm not here playing gimmicks. This is not what we do, because the world is too real for all of that. The world don't need more gimmicks. The world doesn't need more sales persuasion. The world doesn't need another timeshare sale to fall apart, you know, in 2 weeks. It doesn't need that, okay? If the world needed all of that, consumers wouldn't have protections like 3-day, rescission periods, or 10-day rescission periods, or 30-day free looks. Wouldn't have that, right? The only reason they have that is because we don't allow people to recognize buyer's remorse. Last story for you before I go this evening. I thank you so much for your attention. When I was in the resort real estate business, not timeshare, so no, didn't sell, I trained some timeshare, but I'm not a big timeshare guy. But I was selling pretty high-end exclusive real estate deals, and they were mostly home sites. Call them home sites. Some people call it dirt. Home sites, right? So in selling that, one of the things I always did with people after they purchased, and I had learned this back when I was a life insurance salesman, what I did was I brought up buyer's remorse. And everybody said, oh, you can't do that. And I said, they're going to have it anyway. So I would tell them, I would reiterate the husband and the wife, and I'd tell them, hey, you made a great decision here. I really want to compliment you on that. But let me go over a couple of things with you before. One, let me just share with me again today, why are you making this decision? And they tell me, and I'd write it down, and I'd say, okay, so I want you to know these points. So you're very happy, right? And they say, yeah. I said, okay, so here's the deal. As you drive away from here, as you get closer and closer to home, you're going to start to think that you made a mistake. It's normal. It's natural. Happens to everybody. It's called buyer's remorse. But here's what I want you to do, because it's natural. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. As it starts to seep into your mind, as it starts to happen, I want you to call me. If it happens, call me, because I'm going to help you reiterate why you made this decision. These things right here that I just wrote down, these things. I'm going to help you solidify that, because this is really what you want to do. So make sure that as this starts to happen, you call me. Now, let me tell you something, folks. Believe it or not, I always had very, very few cancellations for several reasons. One, I never oversold people. I realized if I oversell them, they're just going to cancel because they can't afford it anyway. Big deal. What? Big whoop. Okay? And excuse me, I should have had that off. And so I don't oversell, number one. Number two, I made sure people had what they needed, what they wanted, and solidified psychologically why they took it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to bring up something that's like, oh my God, you told them about buyer's remorse, which means they're going to call me and cancel. No, you told them about buyer's remorse. That was going to be normal. And what happens when they see it and they call you? Say, hey, Carl, you told us this was going to happen. And guess what? It's happening. Yeah. So now I'm a mind reader. That puts you in a different position, folks. A different position, a position of influence, a position of power. Okay. People think, wow, exactly what he told me happened. And now you help them get over it. Okay. So again, these are the reasons why I made financial transformation. There's a quick little link there. You can check it out. Now, the other thing is this: people who go through financial transformation, I make affiliates. So if I can make some income, my affiliates can make income too. Okay. Because I want to spread the message. So insurance agent, mortgage broker, realtor, whoever, average citizen, even regular just customers who go through financial transformation can become affiliates. So you get affiliate commission for getting more people. Now, if you happen to be in the financial services industry, I tell you what, this course will do a great deal of prospecting for you, because it'll create a great deal of financial awareness. And when that awareness gets created, it's like a seed. It's going to grow. And you're going to be able to go back and develop that relationship and cross-sell what it is you primarily want to focus on, whether that's life insurance or whether it's mortgages or real estate, whatever that's going to be. Okay? That's why we create the Advocacy Network, so we all work together for the welfare and benefit of the client. That's it. As a financial concierge, the only concern you got is the best interest of who's sitting in front of you, or the group of people sitting in front of you. Doesn't make a difference. It doesn't have to be onesies and twosies. It could be hundreds and thousands. Okay? Bottom line is, your concern is for their best interest. People know this. If you believe this in your heart and you put it out, people sense the reality, the truth. They sense it coming out of your pores. Just like people, if you're persuading them, they sense that you're pushing them too hard, or they sense that you're not in this for them. Because persuasion is never about the other person. Persuasion is always about the person doing the persuading. When you were a child and you wanted an ice cream cone, or you wanted a toy at the store, and you're persuading mom or dad, it was about you. It wasn't about mom and dad's best interest. In fact, you played the guilt on them so that they didn't have the money, but they bought you that toy out of sacrifice because of guilt. And that's why we learn to do this as salespeople. We try to guilt people into doing things, and we wonder why in the end they don't want to see us, or they don't want to talk to us, or they don't want to know about us, or they think that we are bad people. And quite frankly, if we're persuading people, we are a bad person. Forget the rationale that I'm persuading somebody to do the best thing they could do for themselves. Mind the expression here, I'm going to have to say it, bullshit. Okay, I'm going to have to call it on that because it's not true. Okay, if you influence somebody to do something you know they should be doing for themselves, you help them come to that awareness and you influence them into that decision, that's a far different perspective. And it's a far different thing. And that's what financial transformation is about. It will influence people if they'll take the time to sit and watch it. It'll influence them because it's honest, it's true, and it's great information. Okay? That's the reason for it. So please take a look at that intro. You enroll for free over there, so it doesn't cost you anything to enroll. And if you do decide to complete the course, great. If not, call me anyway. We are using that course as a prospecting tool for agents, and one way or the other, they'll be taking the course. It doesn't make a difference how, but, because they have to know it. But at the end of the day, it's about helping people become financially independent. So that's all. You help more people become financially independent, you become financially independent. It's impossible. Emerson said the same. It's impossible to help people accomplish something of which you don't accomplish more of that yourself. It's just impossible. That's in the law of compensation, straight from Emerson. So again, thanks, folks. Look for this book. I've got to tell you, I recommend this wholeheartedly. Outwitting the Devil. This will change a great deal of the way you sense and see things. If you come to the conclusion you need to make some changes, please call me because we'll help you with your career. We will definitely help you. But it's up to you to decide that you're at that point where you want to make some changes, okay? And we'll help you with that change. So again, thanks so much this evening. I appreciate your time. I'll see you next Monday at 5. Again, have a wonderful week. Get out there, help some people become financially independent. Thanks for connecting today. I'm looking forward to the value we're bringing to your inbox. So go and check your email right now. And please reply and answer this question. What is the major obstacle that is stopping you from becoming financially independent? In other words, what is the number one obstacle and hurdle that's stopping you from reaching where you truly want to be? I'm looking forward to that reply.